Well, thank you everyone for sticking around. I think this is the last session before maybe like a music performance. Hopefully this is engaging. I'm the co-founder of Lumara. We're based out of the US. We help facilitate Bitcoin real estate transactions, so essentially helping buyers, sellers, renters leverage their Bitcoin holdings to purchase, sell their home, or generate income through rentals. There are a few folks here in El Salvador that we partner with to help purchase property here in El Salvador. I was born in the US, but my parents are originally from El Salvador, so definitely deep-rooted connection with El Salvador and wanting to help use the heritage to help generate this global movement of real estate, purchasing real estate, leveraging Bitcoin. Once it became legal tender, I embraced it and the company took off. Bitcoin is such a great means of transaction. It definitely reflects the Salvadoran heritage, but it also reflects the culture, which is ease of use, friendly, positivity, honesty, trust. So I wanted to also tap into those values and help, help people find property. Bringing a modern focus to real estate, whether it be a tiny home, a mansion, if you've amassed that much Bitcoin, but being able to bring a sustainable lifestyle to folks in a very modern fashion is something that I was passionate about, and I'll show you in the next couple slides how we did that. So I went all in and I wanted to invest in not only in El Salvador, but also in this type of means of transaction and technology. I think we got a little pause here. It's not switching. So that's me as a little kid. So this is my second time in El Salvador, but that's me and my siblings there. The mindset from real estate being the store of value to Bitcoin being a good option, perhaps even a better store of value. Real estate is a very old school set system. People continue to use it as some of the best ways to store value and generate income in a variety of different other ways. We're trying to change that and create a movement where people view Bitcoin as that emerging alternative. We think some of the best attributes come from Bitcoin, primarily the liquidity option, and being able to put it into real estate and take it out of real estate a lot faster. value and storage capacity. Lending, we believe that it has a much more robust lending system and can be used as collateral, which it has been, to purchase real estate. So what we're looking to do is become that bridge, real estate, leveraging and translating in Bitcoin into actual property. And we're leveraging the decentralization of it to, most importantly, cut out all the red tape and all the intermediaries that are typically involved to make this type of transaction possible. And we're enabling this cross-border function where, avoiding banks from different countries and holdups and the opportunity for people to purchase property in any country. People in the US purchasing property in El Salvador much more easily and readily available because Bitcoin is such a standard for many of us. There are a lot of hurdles that we face every single transaction. Some of them are some transactions are easier, others are really hard. Really depends. The US has made it very hard for us to do this, but it is where we're primarily located. So we're doing everything we can to continue to work with folks to help them embrace Bitcoin. But Bitcoin-backed mortgages are sometimes viewed as risky because it's one-to-one, and you could be margin called. There's a variety of different risks that come with that. There are a lot of intermediaries involved in the real estate process, at least in the US. There's real estate agents, there's title, there's escrow. Many of them don't know what Bitcoin is, or they do know what it is, but they haven't really adopted it. They're not really educated around it. So it does take a while to get all those folks involved and in the mix and embraceful of this process. The mindset of storing, getting more Bitcoin and storing it versus actually transacting in it. That's one of the reasons I love to come to El Salvador, because people actually use it day to day. It's viewed much more like a currency. In the US, maybe a little bit less. With real estate, the amount is, the amounts of homes are a lot larger than buying a burger or a soda. So changing that mindset to start to transact at higher amounts. There are tax implications in certain situations, not here, which is amazing, but in the US it is viewed as capital gain. So having to deal with that and educate people around that can become troublesome, and we're hoping that changes in the future at some point. Providing some sort of buyer protection is also something that we're trying to work around. Traditional banks and mortgages, there are a variety of different buyer protection programs. And then technical proficiencies. Do people know, number one, know what Bitcoin is? And if they do they know how to use it? Are they comfortable with their wallet? Are they comfortable with sending money to another wallet? Things of that nature definitely is another hurdle, and it's taken us a while to get people involved. So here are some case studies. Most recently, we worked with a retired couple. They were property investors across the world. I think, husband and wife in their mid to late 60s. They had a home that they purchased in Marbella. I don't remember how much the home was purchased for, but it was listed for $2 million. They wanted to diversify their portfolio, and they were very much into Bitcoin, and they wanted to receive Bitcoin for the transaction. So we helped them find a buyer. They leveraged our platform to list the property, and we found a buyer in Dubai that was looking for a vacation house. It was a beautiful home, and it was a really fast transaction that took place. Successful transaction, really good use case for us and for them. They have other properties, so definitely, they're looking to continue this path of leveraging Bitcoin and getting more of it, and maybe even using it to purchase other property. On the flip side, a younger individual, 32 years old, this was even more recent, tech entrepreneur based out of California, was looking to purchase his first property. And he didn't really need a home. He was kind of like a little bit of a digital nomad, but he was interested in buying a home primarily using Bitcoin. So we were able to find him a home, and he purchased it for the equivalent of 400,000 in Bitcoin. The purchase was, successful. It was in Sherman Oaks. We worked with an agent. We onboarded the agent. We actually had title and escrow involved. as well. So all of the usual intermediaries were involved, and we were able to onboard all of them and pay all of them in Bitcoin, which was new for almost all of them, including the attorney, which was pretty cool for us to see. So this is where it becomes a little bit interesting. So here's the market for us right now, and a lot of our transactions have been in the US, in North America. Tiny homes is something that's just kind of come up. People are looking for modern, sustainable living off the grid, using Bitcoin, removing all the intermediaries, working direct with the builders, paying the builders directly in Bitcoin. And this is a really easy way to do it. You can move wherever you want. You can use your own property. You can have the tiny home on wheels. You can have it on foundation. So you can kind of see the breakdown. For whatever reason, we know some of the reasons. We think we know some of the reasons, but a lower price point, not necessarily wanting to get into a big house, not wanting to spend a lot of money, being able to leverage their Bitcoin for the purchase, but being able to keep some of it as well. So this is our breakdown year to date. This is how a tiny home can look. This is actually one of the builders that we work with in New Hampshire. The homes start at $25,000 US, and they can go up. But they're pretty cool. They're pretty modern. Solar panels. The full 9. They can be delivered across the US. We have builders internationally as well. This is how the process works. If anybody's interested, it cuts out a lot of the steps. But essentially, a buyer shows interest. They contact us. We connect them to a builder that can fit the need and their specs. And the builder typically builds a home within a matter of months, as short as a month. And then the delivery is done. This is a model of one of the tiny homes that's being built. It's a wallet-to-wallet transfer with the builder, and it's delivered directly to the property. So some of the attributes, and I think some of the reasoning behind why this community is starting to look at this as an option. But it's the modern, compact design, not having to commit to such a large home or a specific lifestyle or a specific place, not having to pay as much money and let go as of something that you're passionate about. Energy efficiency, powered by Bitcoin, land friendly, so much more that goes into it. But everyone that's involved in these transactions, has a lot of the same attributes and mindsets that many of us do here as well. So this is year to date, the number of properties that we've managed year to date, the number of properties sold in Bitcoin year to date. In the US primarily, but it keeps growing and growing. A lot of this, again, has been in the tiny home market, but we've done transactions as large as $21 million in New York City. We're working with real estate agents, we're working with attorneys, we're working with title and escrow agents to help onboard everyone every step of the way. It's been tricky. A lot of the transactions early on have been tricky, but it's getting easier and better, and we're trying to partner with as many folks as we can in the real estate market to help educate them on the options that they can offer their clients, and the ability to start to market to a new crowd, of folks to help transition them or offer other options. So that's us. Thank you for listening. Take a look at our website. Contact us if you have any questions. If you're in the real estate market, where we'd be happy to speak with you. We'd be happy to offer some more case studies. But we're excited about the prospect. I'm excited to be here. Thank you everyone for being here and listening in. Any questions? Yeah. Okay.
So, you mentioned these transactions can be with Bitcoin as collateral or Bitcoin peer-to-peer. Which is the more common? And if I use my Bitcoin as collateral, who's holding it?
Yeah, so Bitcoin wallet-to-wallet, peer-to-peer is probably the more common one for the lower price point. Once we start getting to the higher price point, and it really depends, but we start to see people not wanting to let go of that much of their Bitcoin, and if they do, they're going to want to look at some sort of lending or mortgage options. So we partner with companies like Milo, which you might have heard of, based out of Miami. Some local companies here in El Salvador that do it. So essentially, they stake your Bitcoin or they hold your Bitcoin. So if the home's $1 million, you give them $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and then they give you a traditional loan for the home. But they keep your Bitcoin. But there are some risks that go with that. So that's why it's been tricky and it's been difficult. And I don't blame people for feeling that way. That's why this tiny home market, maybe the lower price point market, the ability to do this peer-to-peer transaction with a builder brings a little bit more peace of mind. So we're trying to uncover different ways for us to offer a more seamless transaction without this level of risk that is still unfortunately involved. We have some builders that we know here in El Salvador that work with local communities. A lot of our network is still based in the U.S., so we have a pretty strong network in the U.S. We have some builders in Mexico that we recently met with here at the conference, so we're looking to expand the network. But they're really interested and intrigued in the prospect because this is, they typically don't market. They and they're looking to get into, they consider this to be somewhat niche, but it's an untapped market for them, and there's people that have a need for these things, and Bitcoin holders tend to start to become a little bit more motivated if they know that this is a means of purchasing a home versus going the traditional route. Yep.
When the peer-to-peer transactions occur, are there like significant tax implications for selling the Bitcoin or like transacting with the Bitcoin?
Yeah, so it depends where you're located, but definitely in the US, there's a capital gains tax that you're going to get hit with. It's like selling a stock. You can't really get around it. So that's definitely something that people will look at, and that's one of the reasons that they go for these Bitcoin-backed mortgages versus selling it outright. Others just view, if they've made a lot of money in it and it's gone up, we're at a different place in the market right now. It really depends on timing, but to answer your question in short, yeah, there is that. Yep. Yeah, we've heard of that, and we've worked with some tax advisors that have done something like that. So we partner with some tax advisors specifically in the U.S. because that's mainly where we see these tax implications. So we have a pretty built-out team of partners that can help craft something that makes sense depending on the transaction itself. Good question though. Good. Okay, awesome.